Zuwena stood at the train station in Kigoma, holding Baraka's hand tightly. The sun was rising, casting a soft golden light over everything. She smiled at him, even though her heart felt a little heavy, not because she suspected anything, but simply because she always missed him when he was away. "It's just 3 days," he had said, kissing her forehead. "A business trip in Dar es Salaam. I'll be back before you know it." She nodded, trusting him completely. She had packed his suitcase the night before, his favorite shirts, clean socks, even the little travel lotion he always forgot. He thanked her, kissed her again, and walked onto the train. Zuwena stood there watching him go, waving until the train disappeared down the tracks. She never imagined that goodbye would mark the start of something that would change everything. At home, she went about her day as usual. She made tea, cleaned the house, and even sent him sweet little messages. "Hope your meeting goes well, and don't forget to eat." He didn't reply much, but she figured he was just busy. That's what trips like this were like, right? What she didn't know, what she couldn't have even imagined, was that Baraka wasn't headed to a boardroom or hotel conference. He was headed somewhere else entirely, with someone else by his side. While she packed his clothes with love, he packed secrets. While she stood at the station full of trust, he boarded the train carrying Betrayal. The first night, everything felt okay. Zuwena cooked dinner for herself, watched an old movie, and even laughed at the silly scenes. She missed Baraka, of course, but his short texts reassured her. "Landed safely," he wrote. "Tired, but all good." She smiled, replied with a heart emoji, and went to bed feeling calm. But the second day felt different, strange. Office Baraka's replies became cold, distant. She sent him a good morning message. No reply. Hours passed. She called him once. No answer, then twice. Still nothing. When he finally replied, it was just, "Busy. Talk later." No kisses, no warmth, just cold. Zuwena's stomach twisted. Something didn't feel right. Her hands trembled as she looked at her phone. She told herself, maybe the meetings are long. Maybe he's just tired. But deep down, a voice whispered, something's wrong. That little voice grew louder every hour. She called her best friend, Aisha. They'd been friends since school. The kind of friend who knows your heart, even before you speak. Zuwena tried to sound casual, but her voice cracked. "He's acting weird," she said. "Like, really weird." Aisha didn't hesitate. "Girl, something's off. I don't like this. You packed his bag with love, and now he can't even text back properly." Zuwena sighed. "What do I do? I can't accuse him without proof." Aisha was silent for a moment. "You don't need to accuse, but you also don't need to ignore your gut. When something feels wrong, it usually is." Zuwena nodded slowly, tears forming in her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. She didn't want to be that woman, the one crying over a phone, doubting her husband. But here she was. Every unread message felt like a slap. Every short reply felt like a wall. She looked at old photos of them together on her phone. The smiles, the inside jokes, the love they once had. Where did that man go, she wondered? Was he really just busy? Or was he somewhere else, with someone else? That night, she didn't sleep much. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every small detail from the past week. The way he avoided eye contact before leaving, how he hugged her a little too quickly at the station. The suitcase, had he taken it back to add something after she packed it? She didn't want to become a spy in her own marriage. But silence was eating her alive. Something was wrong. And no matter how hard she tried to push the feeling away, it wouldn't leave. Her gut was speaking louder than ever. It was a quiet evening. Zuwena sat on the couch, phone in hand, just trying to distract herself. Her favorite show played in the background, but she wasn't really watching. Her mind kept drifting to Baraka, or more honestly, to the strange silence between them. 2 days of short texts, no calls, no "I miss you." Her heart felt like it was floating, unsure whether to hope or to break. So she did what most people do when trying not to think too much. She opened social media. She scrolled, liking random posts, tapping through stories, reading funny captions. It was all mindless until one photo stopped her cold. It wasn't even from someone she knew, just a random tourist, probably visiting Zanzibar for the first time. The photo was bright and cheerful. Blue sky, white sand, Nungwi beach in the background. But Zuwena didn't notice any of that at first. Her eyes went straight to the corner of the picture. The background. There he was, Baraka, shirtless, laughing, holding hands with a young woman in a red bikini. They looked happy, relaxed, like a couple on a romantic vacation, not like a husband on a business trip. Zuwena's thumb froze. Her chest tightened. Her breath caught in her throat. She zoomed in slowly, almost hoping she was wrong. Maybe it's someone who looks like him, she thought. But the more she looked, the less doubt she had. It was him. She knew that laugh, that smile, that careless, guilty-free face. The girl with him looked young, too young, maybe a university student. She leaned into him like she belonged there, like she knew she belonged there. And Baraka? He didn't look like he was thinking about work, or his wife, or anything but the moment. Zuwena's heart shattered into pieces so small, she couldn't even feel them fall. It was like being hit by a slow, quiet storm, the kind that sneaks in before you even realize you're soaked. She stared at the picture for what felt like hours. The sounds around her disappeared. Even her breathing felt like effort. All the signs suddenly made sense. The cold texts, the short answers, the ignored calls. He hadn't been in a meeting. He hadn't been busy. He had been on the beach, smiling like he had no wife at all. Tears finally came, hot and fast. She put the phone down and covered her face, letting the pain rise like a wave. It wasn't just the cheating. It was the lying, the betrayal, the fact that she trusted him so deeply, so blindly, and he used that trust like it meant nothing. That single photo said more than 1,000 texts ever could. And in that moment, Zuwena knew nothing would ever be the same again. Zuwena didn't sleep that night. The image of Baraka holding another woman's hand played in her mind like a cruel movie on repeat. Every time she closed her eyes, there it was, his laugh, his smile, his betrayal. Her pillow was wet with tears, but her heart was dry now. Something inside her had changed. The pain was still there, yes, but anger was rising too, hot, sharp, and alive. By morning, her hands were still shaking, but her mind was clear. She opened her laptop and searched for the next bus to Dar es Salaam. No more waiting, no more hoping for answers. She wasn't going to call him. She wasn't going to beg for explanations through a phone screen. No, she needed to look into his eyes, face to face, heart to heart, or whatever was left of it. She booked a last-minute ticket without thinking twice, packed a small bag with just the essentials, a scarf, a change of clothes, some cash. Her fingers moved fast, but her thoughts were heavy. Was I not enough? Did he ever love me? Or was it all just a lie? She didn't tell anyone, not even Aisha. This moment was hers, her fight, her truth. She stared at herself in the mirror before leaving the house. Her face was tired, eyes swollen, but something fierce shined through. You deserve answers, she whispered to her reflection. You deserve the truth. The bus ride felt endless. Hours and hours of staring out the window, replaying every memory, every conversation, every kiss that now felt fake. She remembered how she had packed his suitcase with care, how she had trusted his smile, how he had said, just a short business trip. And now, just days later, she was chasing the ghost of that lie all the way to the coast. She didn't have a plan beyond seeing him, no speech prepared, just one question burning inside her like fire. How long have you been lying to me? She imagined all the ways he might respond. Maybe he'd deny it, maybe he'd laugh, maybe he'd cry and beg. But whatever he said, she needed to hear it in person. She needed to see his face when he realized she knew. As the bus pulled into the city, her stomach twisted. Her fingers gripped the strap of her bag tightly. Her heart was racing, but her spirit focused, determined. She didn't come to fight. She came for the truth. And this time, she wasn't going to let him talk his way out of it. The sun was bright, the waves soft, and the beach looked like something from a postcard. But Zuwena didn't feel the beauty. She walked across the sand with her heart pounding, her footsteps firm. She had already asked around at the hotel desk and checked the beach bar. And then, just past the beach lounges, she saw him, Baraka. He was sitting under a beach umbrella, laughing, again, shirtless, sunglasses on, and beside him, the same young woman from the photo. She wore a colourful wrap. Her long legs stretched out in front of her like she didn't have a care in the world. They looked like a couple on vacation, not like a man hiding a marriage. Zuwena stood still for a moment, watching them. Her chest rose and fell slowly. No more tears, no more questions, just the final truth, right there in front of her. She walked toward them, her steps slow but strong. She didn't yell, she didn't cry, she didn't run. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was calm and clear. "Business trip, huh?" Baraka turned, and when his eyes met hers, all the color drained from his face. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Panic. The girl next to him looked confused, then scared. Then she grabbed her bag and ran. No words, no goodbye, just ran. Zuwena didn't even glance at her. Her eyes were locked on Baraka, the man she had loved, the man who had betrayed her like it meant nothing. Tourists nearby stopped what they were doing. Some looked at her with curiosity, others with pity. Phones were pulled out. Whispering started. But Zuwena didn't notice them. This wasn't a scene. This was her life, her pain, her truth, unfolding in the open. Baraka stood up, stammering. "Zuwena, I can explain." She held up her hand. "Don't insult me. I saw the picture. I saw everything." He looked down, like a boy caught stealing. "It didn't mean anything. It just happened. I was going to tell you." "No, you weren't," she interrupted. "You were going to go back home, kiss me, and lie again, just like you did before." Her voice never shook. Her eyes never left his. She wasn't here to scream or throw things. She didn't need to. Her presence said it all. She knew, and she had already started letting go. "You made your choice," she said. "Now live with it." And with that, she turned around, head high, shoulders back. Her footsteps on the sand were slow but steady, like a queen leaving her throne. She didn't look back, not even once. Baraka was behind her, broken and small. But Zuwena, she walked away from that beach carrying something more powerful than anger, her dignity. The journey back to Kigoma felt longer than usual. Zuwena sat by the window, watching the towns pass by, her reflection in the glass, looking tired but stronger. She didn't cry on the way home, not because it didn't hurt. It did deeply, but because something inside her had changed. The part of her that used to wait, hope, and excuse was gone, burned out by betrayal. She arrived home alone. No one was waiting at the station. No hugs, no warm tea, just silence and her suitcase. The same one she had packed with love just days ago. Now, it felt like a reminder of how blind she had been. Inside her house, everything was in place, but nothing felt the same. The photos on the wall, their wedding picture, their memories, all of it stared back at her like ghosts. For a few hours, she sat in her living room, frozen, embarrassed, angry, heartbroken. But then a quiet voice inside whispered, "You're still here. You're still standing." And that was true. Yes, he broke her heart. Yes, he made her feel small, but he didn't destroy her. Not completely. That night, she opened her phone. Not to message him. No. She opened her notes app and just started writing. Every feeling, every moment. The goodbye at the train station. The silence. The photo. The beach confrontation. She poured her heart out, word by word. No filter. No holding back. Then she opened her old blog account, one she hadn't used in years, and posted it. She titled it, "No More Tears for Liars." She didn't care if anyone read it. It wasn't for the world. It was for her. But to her surprise, the post started getting shared, fast. Women began commenting, "I feel seen. This happened to me too. Thank you for saying what I couldn't." Within a week, her inbox was full of messages from Tanzania, Kenya, Nigeria, even South Africa. Strangers were telling her, "Your words gave me courage." Some shared their own heartbreaks. Others just said thank you. Zuwena realized she wasn't alone. There were thousands, maybe millions of women holding in the same pain, pretending to be okay while silently breaking. So she kept writing. Day by day, she shared everything. The healing, the anger, the confusion. The small victories like smiling at herself in the mirror again. Her honesty was raw, real, and relatable. And people listened. Her story, once something that made her feel ashamed, was now becoming a source of strength, not just for her, but for others too. She was still alone. The bed felt too big. The silence at dinner was loud. But her heart was slowly stitching itself back together, one post at a time, one truth at a time. And Zuwena, she was no longer just the woman who was betrayed. She was becoming the woman who rose. Zuwena never expected her pain to turn into something bigger. All she wanted was to survive it, to put her heartbreak into words, so she wouldn't drown in silence. But her blog, Beach Lies, became more than just a journal. It became a voice, a mirror, a movement. At first, it was a few women messaging her, then hundreds, then thousands. They told her things they had never told anyone. about the lies they lived with, the husbands who cheated, the shame they carried, the fear of walking away. And every time they ended their messages with words like, "Zuwena, you made me feel less alone," or "You helped me speak my truth," Zuwena felt a fire growing in her. Not the angry kind, but the kind that lights up a path. She started posting every week, sometimes twice. She didn't just talk about the betrayal anymore. She talked about healing, self-worth, starting over, finding peace in your own company. Her writing was honest, soft, and bold at the same time. She wasn't trying to be perfect. She was just real. And women across Africa connected with that. Soon the media noticed. A women's magazine interviewed her. A popular podcast invited her to speak. She was nervous at first. Public speaking wasn't her thing. But when she stood in front of that first audience, all women, some with tears in their eyes, something inside her clicked. They didn't want perfection. They wanted truth. "Pain taught me who I am," she told them, "and it showed me I was stronger than I ever knew." The room clapped. Some women stood up and hugged her afterward. One whispered, "You saved me." Zuwena cried in her hotel room that night, but not from pain, from pride, from purpose. She turned beach lies into a full platform, not just blogs, but videos, Q&A sessions, live chats, even healing circles. She sold journals, hosted writing workshops, and built an online sisterhood for women who had been lied to, cheated on, or emotionally broken. She wasn't just healing, she was helping others do the same. One day, she received a handwritten letter from a woman in rural Uganda. It said, "I read your story on a friend's phone. I left my abusive husband because you made me believe I deserved more. Thank you for being brave so I could be too." Zuwena held that letter to her heart for a long time. She never planned any of this. She didn't ask to be betrayed, or to be famous, or to be called strong. But here she was, turning her worst moment into her greatest mission. Betrayal broke her, but it didn't end her. It introduced her to herself. And now, wherever she went, women would say the same thing. "Zuwena, you gave me strength." It was a quiet Sunday morning when Zuwena heard a knock on her door. She had just finished watering her plants and was making tea. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door and saw Baraka standing there, suitcase in hand, her heart didn't skip a beat. It stayed steady, calm, and still. He looked tired. Not the kind of tired that comes from travel, but the kind that comes from shame. His eyes were softer, his voice low. "Zuwena, please, can we talk?" She didn't slam the door. She didn't yell. Instead, she stepped aside and said, "Come in." Baraka sat on the edge of the couch, like a guest in a stranger's home. He looked around, like he barely recognized the place. But it was him who had changed everything. Not the house, not the furniture, not her. Zuwena walked into the kitchen, made 2 cups of tea, and placed one in front of him. He looked surprised. "You made tea?" he asked gently. She smiled a little. "Yes, I make tea for visitors." He flinched at the word. Visitor. There was a long silence between them. Then, finally, he spoke. "It was a mistake," he whispered. "What I did. I was stupid. I wasn't thinking. That girl meant nothing. I missed you every single day." Zuwena stirred her tea slowly, then looked at him. Not with hate, not with love, just clarity. "Baraka, I believed you. I trusted you. I packed your suitcase while you packed lies. You didn't just cheat on me. You broke something that was real." He tried again. "We can fix it. I can be better." But Zuwena had already heard enough. She reached into a drawer and pulled out a brown envelope. Inside were the divorce papers, signed, ready. She placed it in front of him and said softly, "This chapter ends here." He looked shocked. His hands trembled as he opened the envelope. "You already—" "Yes," she said. "I cried. I screamed. I sat alone and felt everything. But then I healed. I grew. I became a woman I'm proud of. And I realized I don't need to carry someone who tried to break me." Baraka was speechless. He put his head in his hands. "I thought you'd wait for me." Zuwena stood up. "I did, for too long, but not anymore." There were no dramatic scenes, no yelling, just a quiet goodbye between 2 people who were no longer the same. Baraka left, carrying his suitcase again. Only this time, he wasn't leaving for a fake trip. He was leaving for good. Zuwena closed the door, took a deep breath, and looked around her house. It felt lighter. She poured herself another cup of tea and sat by the window, the sun warming her face. This time, she didn't cry. She just whispered to herself, "Freedom tastes better than forgiveness." Years had passed since Zuwena closed the door on Baraka. In that time, she built something powerful. Her blog, Beach Lies was now a community, a sisterhood. She had spoken in Nairobi, Lagos, Johannesburg, and now, here she was in Accra, Ghana, standing on stage at a women's business summit, wearing her boldest kitenge dress and the softest smile. Her topic was simple: turning wounds into wisdom. After her talk, people lined up to greet her, take photos, ask questions, but one man stood out, not because he pushed forward or tried to impress her, but because he waited patiently, smiling, with kind eyes. When it was finally his turn, he didn't say much, just, "Hi, I'm Kwame. I read your blog long before I met you. You're legendary." Zuwena laughed, not out of shyness, but because the word legendary still felt strange to her ears. She replied, "I'm just a woman who got tired of crying." Kwame nodded. "And in doing that, you helped millions of others stop crying too." They didn't exchange numbers right away. They talked. At the after-event dinner, they ended up seated at the same table. Conversation flowed so easily about books, food, family, healing, and African women leading the future. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, but every word he spoke felt grounded, real. Over the next few months, they kept in touch. Calls, messages, occasional video chats. Kwame wasn't trying to fix her. He respected her space, her pace, her past. When she told him about Baraka, not just the betrayal but the pain that came after, he didn't shrink away. He listened. He held that part of her story with quiet care. "I admire your strength," he once said, "but I don't expect you to always be strong. With me, you can rest too." Those words melted something in her. He never used her past against her, never tried to compete with it. He honored it. He saw her not just as the woman from the blog, but as a woman, whole, complex, still growing. The first time they held hands, it wasn't fireworks. It was peace, a calm knowing. And for Zuwena, that feeling was more powerful than passion. It was safety. Years earlier, she had found love, and it broke her. This time, she found respect, and it made her bloom. One night, while watching the ocean together on a quiet trip to Elmina, Kwame turned to her and said, "You didn't just survive, Zuwena. You transformed. And I'm lucky to walk beside a woman like you." Zuwena smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't just strong, she was cherished. The waves sounded the same. The ocean breeze still danced with that salty, warm air. But this time, everything was different. Zuwena stood barefoot on the soft sand of Nungwi Beach, the same beach where, years ago, her heart shattered. But now, she didn't feel broken. She felt whole. She had come back not by accident, but by choice. A quiet promise she made to herself long ago. "One day, I will return. Not to hurt, not to cry, but to reclaim." The sun was setting, painting the sky in orange and gold. People walked by, some holding hands, some laughing, some just watching the waves. Zuwena stood still, taking it all in. In the distance, she saw the spot where it had happened, the exact place she had seen Baraka, laughing with another woman. Back then, that moment had knocked the air out of her lungs. But this time, she breathed in deeply, slowly, proudly. She wasn't that woman anymore, the one filled with confusion, pain, and silence. No, she had grown. She had walked through fire and came out with a crown made of truth. Now, she smiled. Not because everything had gone perfectly in life, but because she had survived. She had built a new life. She had found peace, power, and love again, in herself and with someone who truly saw her worth. Zuwena took one step into the waves, letting the water kiss her feet. Same beach, same ocean. But this time, the Queen had returned. Not for revenge, but to stand in her truth, to remind the sea and herself that healing is the most beautiful kind of victory.